Well, yes, I didn't like the idea that as a senior, as an elder, as an older person, whatever term we're going to use, to be segregated in that way. But the other side of that is I have to be careful because I'm a nurse, and I recognize that as a senior, as an older, as a whatever, I'm at much higher risk and the comorbidities. So I maybe didn't take it in the same way that some people did because I thought there was a rationale for segregating people that were at higher risk.
I think the one that really drove it home for me was polio.
Yeah.
You know, I was a child when polio was around, and it seemed to be quite unknown, but you didn't get to go swimming. That's because right. You might get it at the swimming pool. And, you know, but my husband and I have had conversations about, gee, back in the olden days when you had a contagious disease, there was a sign on your door that says isolation or quarantine. Quarantine was a sign, I guess. So I remember that happening as a child, that families would be quarantined because their children had chickenpox. So I grew up with a different mindset, I think, about these things than my grandchildren have, because they really haven't experienced any of these.
Kathy, you've just hit on something for me, because that's one of the things. I mean, I can say you can call me senior and it doesn't personally affect me. I'm okay with that, but it's the subtlety things. It's like, oh, she can still ride a bike. Mm-hmm. Oh, we have a couple residents in this community who do ride a bike. And I hear people say, did you realize she's still riding a bike? She can still go in the swimming pool. And that's a much more, for me, a much more cutting statement than the more direct, oh, that's a senior or whatever. But it's assuming that when you reach a certain point, you can't do any of these kinds of things. And therefore, it's astonishing when you do. You said you learned to ski at 40, Elaine.
I did.
Well, how dare you? You were getting close to senior.
Right. Right. I ran my last marathon at 62.
She actually stopped at 60 when she tore her ACL going down a slope that she probably shouldn't have been on.
You know, I have to say, for me, I've always tried to hit that barrier of being a senior head on, and I've tried to do things that most people in my age group had probably self-limited, but I had not. And as I say, I ran my last marathon at 62. And Art and I go play table tennis every day by ourselves since COVID. We played with the group before. But I have always tried to push my physical and mental abilities beyond what was expected for my age. I got my master's degree when I was 61. I was the oldest one in my class. But I didn't care, you know. I wanted to get that degree, and I did it.
Well, I'll just mention that my grandkids, I think we only have 3, but they call me Art, and I love it. And I hadn't really thought about it until this conversation, but you know, I figured I would be Grandpa, and then I had a grandson who couldn't say Grandpa, so he called me Papa when he was little. And but my grandkids are all in their late teens, early 20s now, and they call me Art, and I really like that. And there's no, you know, on the one hand you could say, oh gee, you're not being respectful of their elders, but on the other hand, they're not putting me in a box either. They're saying, hey, you're like
who you are.
You're like my friend Joe, who's my age, you know. And
however,
like
they
that.
call their mom Kyle and Dave too. Their mom and dad Kyle and Dave.
That's right. That's right.